We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your psychiatrist, your priest. Share it across all social media platforms that you are a part of. Welcome into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway, Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Welcome in. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. And as always, here at Peek Around the Corner, College Football's Peek Around the Corner presents Cloak and Dagger, Cloak and Dagger, Cloak and Dagger. Drink responsibly, follow the rules. Act 12 has begun. Act 12 has begun. Now, I got a few tweets today saying the timeline has passed, Greg. The timeline has come and gone. What now, Greg? The timeline hasn't passed. Act 12. On May 29th, we said Act 12 was going to begin 48 to 72 hours from now. It's begun. We're in it. Act 12. It doesn't mean that it was going to start and then end in a flash. Okay. So everybody relax. We are in Act 12. This is now the act that if there is, and we think there's going to be some action and realignment, it begins now. It happens in this window of time. We had the hot bubble of action that happened in the first weekend of May. The last live show, we gave you a little bit more information on it, May 7th. Then something happened in May 24th in Boulder, Colorado. And then we had the twin action. The twin brother of May 24th happened yesterday on May 31st. Again, we can't get into what, but it will be written in the stories to be told throughout this saga. It will be written now. we believe, we've been told that May 31st, it went into the direction of Colorado moving to the Big 12. So everything is lining up. Colorado going to the Big 12. There is nothing that we have that would put the brakes on that. Not that we have it peek around the corner. Again, they maintain the center of the stage in Act 12. Them alone. They're in the center of the stage. Arizona, a couple arm lengths away. Oregon, Washington in the front row with the Fox executive. And on the end of the front row is Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner. Arizona has bolted into the auditorium. We're going to talk about Arizona State. That's a big story today. Big story. And of course, now this came as a surprise to us at Peek Around the Corner, and I'm sure 99.99% of the people out there. But for Arizona State, of course they had the heads up that they were going to move to the AAU, the American Association of American Universities. So that's a big story. We're going to talk about that. What does that mean for Arizona State in the years ahead? I don't think it changes anything in the near future. I don't think so at all. But, we are in very crazy times right now. Realignment, right? 2026, the Great Gold Rush. This is a big story for Arizona State. When it comes to possible realignment in the years ahead. For Miami, Florida, and Notre Dame, we at Peek Around the Corner, we had them pegged for the Big Ten years down the road. We've talked about it. Miami, Florida has always been our chalk, is the school in the ACC that we most likely would become a Big Ten member. I mean, everything lines up for it. I don't think SEC is even interested in Miami, Florida, to be honest with you. When they eat first, if they eat first, they're going to go North Carolina, Virginia, probably Florida State. Miami, Florida is culturally is different than the SEC schools. It doesn't mean they wouldn't be a great university in the SEC. I just think everything falls in line with Miami, Florida, the most likely of all the ACC schools to end up in the Big Ten. We've been saying that here at Peek Around the Corner. Most of the people in the chat room have been saying this. This is before Miami of Florida became AAU. Okay, they're AAU. It just... Miami, Florida, the Catholics and the convicts. Miami, Florida, Notre Dame coming to the Big Ten somewhere down the future, I think it's a very, very, very strong possibility. I think it's more than just a possibility. But for Arizona State, I don't think it changes anything here in the near future. I do wonder about the Big Ten Men's Hockey League. Will the new commissioner, Tony Petitti, take another look at Arizona State? I know if Kevin Warren was in the commissioner's seat, he'd be pushing hard for Arizona State now to become part of the league. Kevin Warren demanded Big Ten expansion in the Men's Hockey League. But we'll see what Tony Petitti thinks about Arizona State in that endeavor. First of all, let me thank everybody who's come in to the chat room here at Peek Around the Corner. Sko Ducky, Peter Johnson, Utah be marching Greg. Struthers is ready. Laura Wiest from Texas. She's in the house. Texas Tech, Red Raider. Gold Nose, FSU. West Virginia guy. Won't be singing Colorado Mountain High tonight. Jeff Olson, holy smokes, the Evo Badger, the Evo Wisconsin Badgers in the house. Look out. Jason Noble, been waiting all day for this. Thank you so much. NY Grape 87, your seat is saved. Juan Carlos, thanks for coming in. Weird, wild stuff. Absolutely. Stephen McNeely's in the house. Smash that like button. Absolutely. Mona Vision, is today the day? Yay or nay? Big 12 meetings are going on right now, and we'll get into it. They're going on tomorrow as well. Just give us a second. We will get into it. This summer is going to be wild. Realignment galore. Sean Eaton, Illabuck. Been waiting for this all day. Matt Neeson, hello. Thank you so much. Colorado Bros, we got too cocky. Don't know what that means. Does ASU now get considered for the Big Ten? Well, from a peek around the corner perspective, from the angle that we got, of course, they would have to get those 4 Pac-12 schools, right? They'd have to go beyond Oregon and Washington for Arizona State to be part of the picture. I don't think so, but when it comes to Arizona State and Utah, we've always had more steam here at Peek Around the Corner than the University of California. So if the Big Ten presence, somehow they get all this money, they decide they're going to go to 4 more Pac-12 schools because at some point they're going to go to 24 schools and they want 6 on the Pacific Coast. These is all wild speculation, right? But you can see Arizona State jumping in front of a California, in our opinion, here at Peek Around the Corner. Now, a lot of other people say I'm nuts, I'm crazy. On that point, they're probably correct because we've got no steam about University of California as a potential candidate for the Big Ten. So when you go beyond Oregon, when you go beyond Washington, in our opinion, it's Stanford, it's Utah, and now you got to throw in Arizona State into the mix. I don't think it's happening now, of course. No, I would say no, but it's interesting. It's a very, very good day for Arizona State. For years down the head, the opportunities might increase for the front porch of that university. No question about it. The opportunities are gonna increase for its research and everything else. But it's a big day for the AD, the athletic department, and everything else. Immaculate's in the house. ASU's acceptance rates are way too high for them to get into the AAU without a major internal push for them. Immaculate, I saw you comment on the last episode. I think you're heading in the direction that we want to talk about here at the beginning of this show. Something is kind of, I don't want to start a conspiracy without any intel, but I think we can start some speculation. Something weird about what happened today in the AAU. Something we'll get to in a second. Let me thank everybody else for coming on in. Mr. Monkey says, Act 12 mayhem. James. Tumasta. Act 12 getting a standing ovation. Randy Taylor. Obsidian 75. I'm going to need a program for this play. Curtis Brown is in the house. Coy Buckshot Kid. Cornelius Green. Praise the Lord, Greg. Praise you as well, sir. Praise the Lord. Ryan Matson, Derek Marie, Lou, Sandman, Grateful Trojan. The names just go on and on and on. 513 Bearcat, Nick Jones. Act 12 timeline. Well, it has started. Act 12 has started. Everybody wants to know when it ends. Just relax. Relax, everybody. Okay, hold on a second. Hold on, everybody. I lost somebody's. I already lost a super chat. I apologize. Someone put up a super chat and I did not get to it. Rick D, just trying to buy Cal a ticket into the theater. Thank you, Rick D. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Cal is interested. I think they believe they have options. So, yeah, for now, we don't have them in the theater. We don't have Utah in the theater either. So, again, that's what we got. Coy, you do a great job. Great work, Greg. Love watching your content. Appreciate your generosity. Coy, super chat. You're helping us keep the lights on. Thank you so very much. Lot of they're selling AAU out of the truck of a Buick. This is huge. Don't worry, Greg. I'm calling in today. Greg, why are you saying this about ASU? You've been saying the Big Ten doesn't care about AAU. No, I haven't been saying that. The Big Ten does care about AAU. Of course it does. The Big Ten doesn't give the AAU the veto power. AAU is a private organization. It has, I was about to say it has 65 members. Now it has 71. The Big Ten isn't going to give over the AAU the veto pen of who the Big Ten can bring in. I'm not saying they don't care about, they care about large research universities. So there's been candidates to come into the Big Ten that have not been AAU. Michigan State came into the Big Ten. They were not AAU. They did not become AAU. After 8 years it took them being in the Big Ten to be AAU. There were times the Big Ten looked at bringing in some Big 12 schools over in the 2010, 11, 12. The Omaha Herald has a big article on it. Oklahoma was one of those schools. Big Ten would have brought Oklahoma in. They were not AAU. If Texas and Oklahoma would have called the Big Ten together, Big Ten would have said yes. So it isn't that they don't care about AAU. It's just AAU, being a member of AAU does not give, AAU does not have the veto pen on the Big Ten. It just doesn't work that way. But of course, most large research institutions are AAU, right? So when you become AAU, of course that helps you out. Everyone's trying to get, most schools are trying to get to AAU status, trying to get the votes. But to say, I've never said they don't care about AAU. That's not the case. But thank you for your super chat. John Taylor, thank you for your super chat. I still pick Cal as the sixth team in the pod. Remember, Stan and Cal sucked last year, and the game still did numbers. Rivalry games matter. Well, a lot of people agree with you, John. Most people agree with you and disagree with me, and you might be correct. I can only say what we've been, I can only go with what we've been, the steam and all the information that we get from BTM and Associates and the Money Perch and other people now that we've expanded. I get it. Most people would say California would be that sixth Big Ten Pac-12 school. Or we just can't say it here at Peek Around the Corner because we've got no steam on it. And we've tried to get steam on it. And we haven't. So, thank you, Ryan Martin, for the super chat. Oklahoma and Texas did go to the Big Ten first. Big Ten Pac didn't want, not here, not in 2019. They did not go to Oklahoma. Oklahoma and Texas did not go to the Big Ten first. They both called Greg Sankey together. But thank you, Ryan, for your super chat. I appreciate it. Now, years before, of course, there was communication between Oklahoma and Texas and the Big Ten back in 1990 and all that stuff. But recently here, Texas and Oklahoma both called Greg Sankey together. And if they both called Kevin Warren, they'd both be in the Big Ten. The Big Ten wasn't going to say no to Oklahoma with an Oklahoma and Texas combo. So, again. Okay, Super Chat was from Jim Bagley. $5, great coverage, but you need to release more information. Thank you so much, Jim Bagley. Thank you, Buckshot Kid. Jim Bagley, I appreciate the Super Chat, the donation. I need to release more information. Woo, I tell you, it is, it is impossible for me to give more information. It's not a coincidence that people are writing articles about Colorado being the number one target to the Big 12, being in the center of the stage. We've been saying it for weeks. This is not by accident. People are talking about, you've read the articles. I just did a Max Olson article today. I think it was episode 227. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Talking about how there's been meetings face-to-face with Colorado and the Big 12. I gave you the date. I've given you the date. May 7th. It happened in the Midwest, in a city. I can't say anything more than that. I mean, people have been working this story. People are ready to report more stuff when it breaks. And I have been very fortunate to be able to been given information. We were given information about this event in April. We put the hot bubble of action from April 28th to May 17th. And and the reason why it ended up in May 7th, because other stuff was going on those other dates that had to do with people that were going to be in this event, things that they could not get away from out of, family matters. So it landed on a date. We tracked it. It happened. It was a shot to the solar plexus. We have all the details, but I can't possibly just break the story. I've given my word. I've helped out. So I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. And then there's been other two unique events that have happened May 24th and May 31st. Yesterday, the May 31st happened in a state west of Colorado. We've tracked it. It happened. It was an event that positively moved Colorado closer to the Big 12. I can't give any more details on that. Now, I want to get into this, and we'll get to more of your comments, and we'll get to your phone calls. Act 12, it has started. No, it hasn't ended. It has started. Things don't start and end like that. So I'm not sure. Anyways, Kirk Bohls, Texas Longhorns and all that stuff. Oklahoma athletic director hustling into SEC spring meetings with SEC presidents and chancellors. I'm meeting by Zoom with Big 12 people who are in Greenboro, deciding on further Big 12 expansion, etc. So this was a tweet he put out a few hours ago, Kirk Bohls, Oklahoma athletic director, right? Oklahoma and Texas are in the Big 12 for one more year. So So the Sooner, an athletic director. I'm sorry, I'm reading my comments on my phone. I got to keep my head on a swivel here. So, anyways, Oklahoma athletic director meeting by Zoom with the Big 12. Look, he's not in the room. He's not in the Zoom meeting when the Big 12 are discussing expansion. Okay? That's not what he's saying here. It's just that I'm meeting by Zoom with Big 12 people who are deciding on further Big 12. So, of course, he knows what they're... To me, it reads like the athletic director knows what Big 12 is about to discuss. Now it's time for Joe to head out and hustling into the SEC spring meetings, being physically there with the SEC presidents. You guys understand what I'm saying? So I don't think this comes as a shock to anybody. But for those who needed to see this, yeah, Big 12 is discussing expansion today, June 1st, beginning of Act 12. As we said a couple weeks ago, it would be around June 1st or a day before that Act 12 would begin. And it's begun. We had some event happen yesterday, August 31st. And again, we talked about that days ago that it was going to happen. It happened. I know you need proof that it happened. And you will get your proof when all this breaks. And now here in June 1st, no question about it, the Big 12 is discussing, evaluating further Big 12 expansion. So I just want to put that out there. Act 12 has definitely begun. Different than Act 11. Different than Act 10. If you've been here, if you've been a long-time follower, a peek around the corner, this is the time now. This is the moment. This is the window. This is Colorado center the stage. They got it lined up, and now they're able, if they wish, to pull the trigger on going into the Big 12. We happen to think at peek around the corner that the Big 12 is favored to poach the Pac-12. We've been saying it since February 24th. No, we're not going to change the odds. It's still minus 5.5 point favorite that the Pac-12 is still going to get poached. And again, where is the Pac-12 media deal? We have no steam on it. Cameron B. I've given you more. I don't know anyone else who's given you this as much information as we have. I've given you the dates. And no, I cannot get out in front of this story and become the story. Not when so many people have worked on this. So if this is not enough, then I don't know what to say to you. Don't know what to say. It's no accident. It's no accident that now everybody's writing articles about Colorado being the one school, being the one that has had most successful talks with the Big 12. We've had them at the center of the stage for weeks. Certain events have happened that are just with Colorado. And we're giving you dates. We're giving you... we can't, and I won't burn my sources. And we cannot get out in front of the story. We're not going to do it. Because if I do that, then I can't harvest the field again here at Peak Around the Corner. And then I can't give you any more peaks, any more corners. Okay? Look, this is how we have to do it. We don't have an option. So, okay. Let's get to your phone calls, but before we do, and I know Immaculate's going to call, this whole AAU thing with the 6 schools, that's, when I first of all, I was surprised by some of the schools. Not that Notre Dame doesn't do good research. Notre Dame is a great institution. I get all that. Their research expenditures do not reach the level of Nebraska. Their resume doesn't quite fall in line with the other schools. But look, again, this is a private organization. They set the rules. They vote. They change their criteria from time to time. And to me, the combination of Notre Dame, Miami of Florida, Arizona State, then you got Washington school up there, small California school, South Florida. To me, it was all about horse trading the votes. I think votes were traded back and forth. And it just so happened it swooped 6 of them in. 6 of them in at one time. There hasn't been an addition to the AAU, I don't know when. Was it 2019? 2018? I might have the year wrong. To me, it got political. People were pushing buttons. Who knows? Who knows what Notre Dame said to the Big Ten schools and back and forth. In Miami, Florida. I just, again, I have no intel on this. This is pure speculation. No intel whatsoever. Are we going to die for are we going to poke around? Absolutely. But this was shocking. 6 schools. And but again, let's not bury the lead though. Big day for University of South Florida, Arizona State, big day, Miami, Florida, Notre Dame. What row is UConn sitting in? They're in the 38th row. They're in the 38th row. In our theater, at PATC Theater, the 4 schools closest to the stage or on the stage is Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, and then UConn. We don't have Utah in the building yet. UNLV is not in the building yet. We don't have Memphis in the building. We don't even have Gonzaga in the building. We did when we first started, I think back in Act 10. I know other people are talking Gonzaga. If we got that information, we would move Gonzaga up. We would have them park their car back in the parking lot, come into the auditorium. We just don't have it. It could mean we're wrong. Gonzaga may have some late development with the Big 12. Maybe they acquiesce to the Big 12 demands because there was a conflict between Gonzaga and the Big 12 and Fox. What Gonzaga wanted to deliver to the Big 12 did not want all that to be delivered to the Big 12. Maybe Gonzaga said, fine, maybe we'll just bring our basketball. Maybe this is a late development. Things are going to get fluid, right? Okay, you're right. Oregon and Washington. You're right. Oregon and Washington are closer to the stage. Thank you, Cameron B. But Oregon and Washington are not looking to get on the stage at this point. Great point, Cameron B. Thank you for the super chat. What I'm talking about is Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, and UConn are the 4 closest to the stage, because Oregon and Washington are in the front row, and they're sitting with the Fox executive. So they're more tied to the Fox executive right now than they are with the Klikoff and Yormark who are up on the stage. But thanks for the correction. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Okay, let's get to your phone calls. I see a lot of very good discussions, especially in around the AAU. Hold on one second. Phone line ain't quite open yet. Ugh. All right. Phone line should be working. 763-260-1333.
Call from
Ryan Martin.
Ryan Martin, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, good sir.
How you doing today, Mr. Greg?
I'm doing good.
Okay, so I have 2 things. One, I'm gonna hop on real quick. As far as my super chat from earlier,
Yeah.
OU and Texas went to the Big Ten first. They didn't go to the SEC first. And I'm getting that from somebody who is a big donor for OU. They went to the Big Ten first, and they said Big Ten laughed them out. They didn't want OU. They wanted Texas, did not want OU. OU and Texas wanted to be a package deal. That's when they went to the SEC.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that's the
fine.
story that I've heard.
That's fine. Yep.
So the other thing, and I hope you will indulge me for a couple of minutes if I run over.
No problem.
This is kind of it. It takes a little bit of following, but it's about the bylaws and about the Castiglione tweet.
Yeah.
So when OU and Texas being involved in expansion negotiations or their lack of involvement, kind of all boils down to when the Big 12 has determined their notice date for exiting the Big 12 is, and when what is called in the bylaws an interim period has begun. So typically, when someone declares that they're withdrawing, a notice date is determined and an effective date is determined. And according to the bylaws, that's usually the notice date is considered 18 months before the June 30th the next year that they would be withdrawing from the conference. It's complicated, and I'm explaining it a little bit badly. So, but basically, if you work the math back, that the earliest time that notice date would be from their original notification to the conference that they were going to be joining for the 25-26 season into the SEC would be 18 months prior. So it would be December, January time frame of 2024, if I have that right in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when that interim period would have come into effect, and that's when they would have lost access to, they would have lost their voting member status, position on committees, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So I would imagine that part of the negotiation for their early exit from the conference basically guaranteed that they would continue to maintain their voting status on everything, and that they would abstain from most everything that relates to the future of the conference. They just wanted to be involved in the conversations for things that were going to continue to affect them while they were still part of the Big 12.
Yeah.
The conference bylaws allows the conference to determine an earlier date for that effective date. So they could say, in essence, and this would all be legal under the bylaws, they could set that notice date and set the effective date on that notice date, or 2 weeks, a month, 6 months later than that. It just can't be any further out than 18 months from that date. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So now we move on to what the Big 12 has determined a supermajority is. So for the purposes of the conference, a supermajority of votes is 75% of the conference. You have to have a supermajority to add people to the conference. So, and the supermajority that is irregardless of whether or not a director or member attends a meeting.
Yeah. So that's 9 votes.
8 votes. At 10, right now it's still 10 members because the 4 newbies have not joined the conference yet officially. They're not voting members.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay.
So right now it is 8 of 10 votes. 8 of 10 members have to vote. And I would assume that their presence is necessary in order for the vote to be had, but that they would either abstain or rubber stamp whatever the conference wanted. They would vote yes or no in agreement with the majority of whatever the conference wanted. But you have to have unanimity on any additions without OU and Texas there. With OU and Texas, you have a margin for error. You have someone who can say, I want it known that I don't approve UConn or Gonzaga or Arizona State, whatever, but that still gives you that buffer, that margin. So that's just my read of the situation. I'm assuming that at this point that there's relative unanimity throughout the conference to pick up most everybody. The only reason why OU and Texas might be there is if there's any disagreement on a controversial ad like UConn has been hinted as. And again, I'm just speculating at this point. So, but as long as OU and Texas are still voting members of the conference, they need to be present for those votes. So
got it. Okay.
They may not be privy to, all of the discussions surrounding expansion. They would just be, hey, you need to be here for this. We're getting ready to do a vote on this. And from what I understand from other people around the meetings, that the newbies are there, they're discussing, but they can't legally vote on anything yet because they have yet to officially join.
Got it. Okay.
Anyway, that's my piece. That's what I wanted to say on everything.
Thank you.
So,
appreciate it. Great
thank
call.
You, sir.
Thank you so very much. Good information. Thank you.
Call from
Western Civic.
Western Civic, the floor is yours.
Thank you, good Sir Greg. Wow, all ears to the gopher behind the desk. What a day. My goodness, this AAU business. Now, you can't underestimate the importance of that, and I think you're reading that really well, Greg, about what's going on there and politics being thrown around, and, it is a very political thing, and it's like who's in the club. But anyway,
yeah,
I got one thing for you, but I got one thing at the end, Greg, because this first thing I want to get into is kind of the meaty part.
Can you hold 1 second? Hold 1 second. I'm sorry. Cameron B., thank you for your super chat. Thoughts on KU to the Big Ten odds being plus 300. I don't think that's in the cards for any time soon. Thank you for your super chat. Western Civic, I apologize. That's been up there for a while, and I failed to get to it. Okay, go ahead. The floor is yours. Continue on.
Okay. All right. Well, before I get to the end, remember, I got one final thing. So let's not end it till we get to, because it's the most important thing. So do we got a deal there? You'll remind me. Okay, what's your final thing right before we go? Okay, is that we got a deal?
Yeah, I'll say 20 seconds. Then you got to say your most
Oh,
important.
don't put me on the clock, Greg. Come on, I'll be reasonable, but I don't want to be put on a
Got
clock.
it. Okay.
It's important. Okay, just work with me. Just go. Okay, what's the final thing? Okay, but before we get to that, wow. Okay, quite a day. Thanks for your work, Greg. Really appreciate. Really, your last video was just epic. So much. Okay, but let's start with this. All my Big 12 opponents here. Look, the idea that the Big 12 is poaching the Pac is over, okay? The same people who told, I don't know, Greg is very close because the timing was the same. Greg had the same information I did when Oregon and Washington, we got that information earlier in the year. Well, the same people who said that 6 months ago, or not 6 months ago, whenever it was, said yesterday that Oregon, Washington plus to the Big is imminent, okay? And look, if you ever want to decide which conference is better, you need not look any further than Colorado's record in the Pac, okay? And let me just throw this out there. And look, I'm a Utah guy, and you know it's weird about Colorado. We have the Jazz and the Nuggets have a rivalry. You know, driving to Colorado, while it's a lot closer as the crow flies, it's like driving almost to California. I mean, it's a long drive going through the Rockies. So we know about these people over there. And by the way, the name of that game when Utah plays Colorado, it's called The Hunt. You can go back to whenever. It's called The Hunt. It hasn't been much of a hunt, I have to say. And let me just say, if Colorado, at this point, after laying the biggest egg in Pac history, hires themselves the flashiest coach in college football history, and then puts their tail between their legs and goes back to a diminished Big Lubbock conference, I assure you, you will be a Utah laughingstock forever. That will be like you thought Oregon gets crap for their flashy uniforms. Wait till Colorado gets it for riding the showboat.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
Western Civic, you have gone.
Yes, sir.
You have gone from Colorado. There's no way, no heck, no way they're going to the Big 12. They're not going to go to the Lubbock Conference. No chance with that big university, large research university, Colorado Buffaloes, Pac-12. No chance. They might go to the Big 10. Big 10 might grab 6, 7 Pac-12 schools. Colorado, no way going to go to the Big 12. You've gone from that position to, if Colorado goes to the Big 12, they'd be the biggest laughing stock of the Utah Utes. So you've changed a little bit.
No, my position actually hasn't changed. I give it a 1.5% chance. But there's a big difference here. I mean, what like Opie and I bet on, as far as I'm concerned, that bet is over. The bet was that Colorado would be, that the Big 12 was going to put the death nail in the Pac. That is over. What's happening here, if Colorado moves, it's because other people are obviously going to the Big, and they don't have anywhere else to go. And that's what's going on. Okay, that's the point. And I'm still at 1.5% because I don't see how do you hire Deion Sanders, and here's another reason the argument you always make, Greg, about no one makes the argument about, we want to go somewhere where it's easier. Well, the Buffs fans that want to do it, I'll name one, David Talks Buffs. That's an argument he made. Let's go to the Big 12. It'll be easier. Come on, man. So anyway, but the argument, look, the Big
Okay, so now get to your most important point.
All right. Thank you, Greg, and I will. Look, there's someone else in the theater, Greg. This is the most important part. There's someone else in the theater, and it's the biggest player of all. And they fill every seat you haven't named so far. And, of course, what I'm talking about is us. the college football fan. Okay, in this moment of massive college football transition, we got to make sure we stand up for ourselves a little bit. No, I'm not going to download some app and pay for it so I can stream my favorite team on my phone. No, I'm not going to be denied my right to use legal tender cash when I go to a ballpark. Come on, guys. These guys want to know who you're sitting next to and what you ate and how many beers you had. We've got to make sure that we, as the passionate fans that we are, that come together to have these massive emotional group experiences that these corporations take to the bank every Saturday. Let's make sure that we get heard as fans. We don't have to sit at 10 p.m. in the cold all the time to watch a game.
You finished strong. You finished strong. No more war. No more war.
No war, Sir Greg, and thanks a lot. And boy, y'all better keep the head on a swivel,
Got it. Perfect.
25 is still the number.
Great way to end the call. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. All right.
Call from
Mona Vision.
Moen Vision. Moen Vision is in the house. Mr. Buckeye, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, Greg, I think the point you made, but may have been missed a little bit, is how many votes did Notre Dame get to get into the AAU?
I sure would like to know. I take 75%.
Who made those votes? Because you're going to have a good portion of them coming from the Big Ten to let a school like Notre Dame into the AAU.
What was that
Not
again?
saying that they don't have great. I say you're going to have at least 75% of the Big Ten casting those votes to allow Notre Dame into the AAU.
Well, I'm now it takes 75% of the total vote to get in, right? And the
Correct.
Big Ten has 15 votes, correct?
Correct. Yes.
So, I mean, there had to have been some horse trading. I'm not sure what's going on here. I think it's a story. We don't have it. That's something.
Well, right. Because, I mean, and I don't want to say anything negative about Notre Dame's academics.
No, I don't either. Great. No, I'm not.
It's a fine academic school. But as far as research goes, there's no research going on at Notre Dame.
No, there is. There is. In the undergraduate.
Well,
yeah, it's in
right, right. But there's, because of certain religious dogma, they are opposed to much research that the AAU schools usually have on certain things. I don't want to make it into a religious thing, but there are certain things that they will not do research-wise. They will not work with schools on because they have religious opposition to them. So it just seems interesting to me that school would be able to get enough votes to get into the AAU.
And again, I have nothing against Notre Dame.
Me neither. I don't. Hey, if you want, they stick to their guns about their beliefs. They've got great academics. I don't hold that against them.
Well, I share a lot of their beliefs. Not all of them. I sang at a Catholic church for 10 years, but
sure. But I mean, that's.
But they don't share the same.
They
don't share the same resume as. And I'm
right.
just wondering why. Why did they get 75% of the vote in this very political organization? I don't quite. Something horse trading came on. What was the other side of this horse trade, though? Who else got what they wanted out of this deal for Notre Dame to get 75% of the vote? I can't figure that part out.
Well, let's keep this in mind, Greg. Just like they taught us on Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah.
and that's Notre Dame. And Nebraska joined the Big Ten when they were AAU, but Michigan and Wisconsin both cast votes against them staying in the AAU because their medical school was not on campus in Lincoln.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
There is no loyalty in the Big Ten on AAU votes. So
No.
I just find it very interesting. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, that has nothing to do with conference realignment. The fact that Notre Dame got into the AAU, there had to be politicking. They had to be politicking some of the AAU schools in the ACC.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure that was 100%. But they also had to politic a hell of a lot of Big Ten schools.
Well,
I would not be surprised if it was 15-0 for Notre Dame.
And I'll say this: a whole lot of politicking to get Notre Dame in. It just isn't about Notre Dame for me. It's about 6 of them at once. I mean, the AAU, I think, averages maybe 1 school out of every 8 years, 7 years. I'm not sure what the correct number is. But 6 of them at once in 2023. I'm going to tell you guys, nobody expected that. So, a lot of it has to get back to the horse trading. I'll vote for you if you vote for me. I mean, not Notre Dame's not saying that. The people representing them in the 65 current AAU schools, there had to have been a faction for Notre Dame, a faction for Arizona State, a faction for Miami, Florida, and they swap votes to get all these schools. But this is unbelievably unusual. So there's got to be a story here.
Well, they know Latin at Notre Dame, so I'm sure they know what quid pro quo means. They didn't get those votes for nothing, Greg. So yeah. I will leave you with no future big expansion without Notre Dame.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Great call. Grant Creech, the AAU thing is getting way overblown. What has been driving this realignment is brand power. Eyeballs on TV, ASU, Arizona, roughly equal in terms of brand name. Neither of us will get in. I don't think it has any effect near term. No, I don't. And I agree with you. But years down the road, it could help Arizona State. No question about it. And again, I get back to Big Ten hockey. Are they going to give Arizona State a fresh look to become the 8th member? I don't know. I'm going to dive into that.
Call from
Immaculate.
Immaculate. I know you believe in this conspiracy. Something happened behind closed doors at the AAU. Hold on one second. Grant, I want to say thank you, sir, for your super chat, for your generosity to the channel. Thank you so very much. Neither of us will get into the Big Ten. No, not at this point. But I do think it's a very good, positive, big day for Arizona State. There was a couple comments here. Hold on. Can you hold on, Brian?
I'm holding.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Everybody hold on here. Whose corner?
Yeah, the Colorado board meeting.
I don't see it listed. I don't see a June 6th Colorado board meeting.
It'd be interesting if the Big 12 actually did have a vote for new membership, and then now all of a sudden Colorado's announcing a new board meeting.
I don't know. Something ain't working on my... Hold on. No, I see a board meeting June 22 to 223. Well, they did have a June 20th and a... Hold on. Yeah, I'm sorry. That June 22 has been there for a while, guys.
Who's the saying? Try refreshing the page. He's in your chat.
Huh? Yeah, I've seen June 20, June 22 listed for a long time now. I do not think that's new. So I'm going to not really dive into it right now. I don't think that's new. Go ahead, Brian. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank Moen for coming in.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Found it?
I'm sorry. Everyone's telling me it's definitely there. New June 6th. What am I missing, guys? I know I'm not very bright. Hold on. Brian, I'm sorry. When we get back to you, the floor will be yours for a long time, okay?
I'm curious about this too. This could be important.
What is going on here? June 6th. Why isn't it? If this is a conspiracy. Okay, well, I'm seeing the photo. Expansion Crush Daniel gave it to me. June 6th. Special board meeting, executive session only. Now, why isn't it showing up when I do a refresh? What's going on here? Oh, now I get it. Now I get it. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Special board meeting, executive session only. Thank you, PATC. Community, you put your head on a swivel. God, I love this. We have the best community, college football community there is. The host is an idiot. It took me like 4 times to get it. So many times. I gotta. Brian, give me another moment here.
Hey, you're good. I'm just sitting here drinking.
Yeah, this is important. This is important. Okay. All right. Now, for whatever reason, if an agenda is listed, let me know in the chat. It probably won't be listed today. June 6th? What day is June 6th? Is that a Wednesday? Wednesday, June 6th?
Tuesday.
Well, Act 12 definitely began. We could get more news here. Brian, I'm going to get to you in a second here, and then you get the floor. I'm going to just throw this out there. Is June 6th a Tuesday? It is a Tuesday? It is a Tuesday. Okay. We were told that peek around the corner. I think I said this. I'm pretty sure I said this in the last live show. I know I've said it on Twitter. So if you don't believe me, you can check my Twitter in the last couple days. But we were told, we put it on Twitter, that this board thing, when that hits, that's going to be highly procedural. Like, I don't even know what I can say here. Let me put it to you this way, Brian and everyone. It could be a lagging indicator. That's what I wanted to say. The board meeting could be a lagging indicator of what is happening, because it's a like this thing's going to be, if it happens, which we think it's going to happen, if it happens, it would happen, and then the vote would come later. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, the board has already been involved in this. They kind of know what's going on. Something like that. Okay? You guys understand what I'm saying? I put that out on Twitter a few times yesterday, the day before. So, yeah, and again, it's been previously reported that any vote by the Colorado board is required to be in public meeting. Absolutely. And again, I've been told that a public meeting, when they do a closed door session, they go to public meeting, they can just go to public, vote, bam, it's over. An informal vote, yeah. I mean, is June 6th Act 13? No. We're in Act 12. We just begun Act 12. June 6th that's Act 12. Act 12 isn't going to end in a day. I had a couple of tweets today saying the time has passed, and whoa. Just the movement. There was more stuff that happened yesterday that when people write the story, it's going to be talked about. So we knew there was more positive movement. People can disagree with me. That's fine. So we'll see. Anyways, Brian, the floor is yours. Go at it.
All right. Well, just about that story, since you're in that, if it's an executive session and it's behind doors, probably it's meant to be like an information gathering thing because there's a lot going on right now. And these folks who are on that board probably aren't paying as much attention as we are. So they can have all this presented to them and then make their decisions on whatever they're looking at. I found that tweet you grabbed to be very interesting about the guy saying the OU AD that the Big 12 was talking about additions at their meeting. I would love to know if that was just garbage or if that's actually real. Because if they are, and then you have this coming out, that's
I think it's. I happen to think it's real, and I'm not going by just that. So I think, yes, it's real. I'll just say that. And again,
that's
anyone, you could disagree.
Serious timing. But the big story, and quite frankly, when I saw this, it blew my mind.
Yep.
And I know that most folks look at this and going, why? I can't explain why. It's the Big Ten. Why do they care about the AAU so much? I don't know. I think it's silly. I've been saying ASU is a dark horse candidate for them for a long time. At this point in time, I'm kind of kicking myself for not really sticking to that hard. But I live here, so I do have a bias. Now, to our Bearcat friend in the chat, I don't have a bias against Arizona. I just think Arizona State has a lot more to offer than what people give them credit for. And the biggest slam against them whenever I'd say dark horse candidate, is the lack of AAU status. And I have to sit here and go, well, I don't think it's as big of a deal as others do, but, it's a thing. And here now that's no longer a thing. So I would say that puts them above an Oregon or a Washington, not at all. But if what I'm saying is that they're looking at 5-team divisions, that could slide them into that 5th spot for the West. You don't need every single school to have a knockout program. Someone's got to lose every single game.
Yeah.
An across-the-board athletic department that's well-funded. People have been talking about hockey. Hockey doesn't push it, but they can play in the hockey league. Living here, I can tell you, Big Ten alumni, both just regular folks and big money, are here.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about a place to have Big Ten games in October, November, they're here. They've already come here. They're here now. So ASU, if some of these schools come here to play as conference games, those are saying they're going to be home games for some of these schools. You want to see, you might have more Michigan fans there than you will at a Michigan State game. I mean, there is a ton of Big Ten people down here. Seems like almost yearly they have their meetings here in Scottsdale, where I live. You don't have to
Can
go
you
far.
hold 1 second? Hold 1 second.
What you got?
Brian, I apologize again.
Technical difficulties.
No.
What you got?
Go ahead. Go ahead with your talk. It's not technical difficulties. It's just things are just going around. Things are happening. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. Well, that's how I feel about them. I mean, I could go on for a amount. I'm not saying they're going to get. I just think this has largely been looked at as their biggest impediment to getting into the Big Ten, to even get a vote. It's gone now. And if that was just them happening, I probably wouldn't consider it that big of a deal. But when you group them with Notre Dame and Miami, 50% of this edition, which is a large edition. When you can look at George Washington, I've looked at them now because of this, their research, they're qualified. Riverside, qualified. USF, kind of a surprise to me, but once you look into it, qualified. But when you start to look at Notre Dame, you look at ASU, and you look at Miami, you could, I really don't think Notre Dame's qualified, but I'm not going to make that fight. Miami, there's better options, but and ASU, their acceptance rates traditionally for the AAU is just way too high. We're talking over 70,000 people go to that school yearly. Their alumni base is huge. This is kind of a change in pathways. Now, Arizona State is big into like the new superconductor research, and everyone's been hearing about that lately. Their future is big. I'll just go into that. But when you combine Notre Dame, Miami, and Arizona State all in this at once, I know it's kind of getting into that whole questionable state of things, but it just feels a lot like a Big Ten fingerprint on it. But even more so, I think ACC fingerprint, because they also have an upcoming, at least a threat of a vote that they need more people to sign on for. We already know about the Magnificent Seven. Notre Dame was not part of that. So if they want to get Notre Dame's vote, maybe this is part of it. So, the likes of UNC, Virginia, maybe they got some of those votes. If schools from the SEC want to get these schools free from the ACC, they might give up voting for some of their own candidates to help vote for this to break this free. I don't know. Miami and Notre Dame are two votes over there. So it's very intriguing that today, on June 1st, the day you said to watch out, this happens. I don't know if this is where you were going, but when I saw this, it was pretty much kind of made me sit up straight in my chair and say, okay, this isn't just happenstance or coincidence. I mean, those three schools have all been talked about in terms of this realignment. So I don't know what to think about that, but I think Notre Dame, Miami, to the Big Ten, Miami might not want to be on an island all on their own, but if they are given AAU status ahead of time, that might be like, okay, we're willing to do it. You did this for us. Like, as someone just said, quid pro quo.
All right, great call. I will say this. When we were talking about June 1st a couple weeks ago, beginning Act 12, June 1st, or the day before June 1st, this was not part of that equation, this AAU thing, okay? This was a shocker to me, shocker to anybody I've talked to. So, no, that wasn't part of what... No, June 1st was a Colorado center of the stage type of thing, okay?
Well, does that have to do with that meeting happening in West Virginia and supposedly what's coming out of there?
No, we don't know anything about a West... You're talking about the Big 12 meeting?
Yeah, the Big 12 meeting where now it's leaking out that they're talking about expansion after saying that, none of these schools are there and they're not talking about it.
Well, no. June 1st, when we said June 1st was the start of Act 12, we said that a couple weeks ago, and it had to do with a lot of more than one thing, but we kind of connected the dots on a few things. And so June 1st or May 31st was definitely the start of Act 12, and I can't really get into more than that but I think people are starting to see evidence of it. So as we sit here today, but it had nothing to do with the AAU, and it had nothing to do. It didn't, and it had something to do with the Big 12 meetings. Yes, but there's more to it than that. But great call. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, like I said, I can't believe that those three got in all at this time and without there being. This isn't just about research, is all I'm saying. So we'll leave it at that.
Got it.
Great show. Looking forward to seeing what some of these other folks have to say.
Yep.
Have yourself a good one.
Great call. Interesting comment here by Ryan Matson. Tweet Brett Murphy. Teams playing at least 10 Power 5 opponents in 2023. Big 10, 13 out of 14. Big 12, 11 out of 14. Pac-12, 10 out of 12. ACC, 10 out of 15. SEC, 2 out of 14. Give me a break, SEC. Give me a break.
Call from
Ryan Matson.
Ryan Matson, I just read your comment there.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right, the floor is yours.
Well, the reason why I was calling, you brought it up a couple times today about Big Ten hockey and ASU as a potential member.
Yeah.
I was just curious because I remember before COVID happened, they were talking about Iowa, maybe Nebraska. Are they still in consideration for hockey, or I guess I just haven't heard anything.
They're not making any moves towards it, especially since the pandemic. And of course, Illinois was getting real close. Real close.
Oh, I forgot about them too.
Yeah, Illinois was real close. They were going to do a whole big arena plus other attachments to the hockey arena, and then the pandemic killed that. So there is no internal eighth. There's no internal Big Ten internal candidate for the eighth school as we sit here right now, as far as I know.
Yeah, and it would be nice if they do get it to 8 schools and maybe even 10. That'd be great for the conference. So I was just curious. I know you brought it up a few times, and a lot of people are calling in. So I'll get off. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. John, thanks again for the super chat. Hello. Someone hung up. John, thanks for the super chat. If 6-pack schools make 20, then Notre Dame makes 22. Who gets the last 2 spots? Georgia Tech gives a partner for the Canes in the city of Atlanta. I think a lot of things would have to go right for Georgia Tech to be a candidate, in my opinion.
Call from
P Doggy Dog.
All right. I'm sorry. I didn't get the name.
It's P Doggy Dog.
All right. The floor is yours.
I appreciate it, Greg. So I've been lurking in, the background, if you will, enjoying the heck out of the content, the commentary from everybody here, and it's fun, a lot of fun. And
Good.
I had one interesting conspiracy theory, perhaps, to bring up.
Yeah,
and I'm curious as to what your thoughts could be. When we were all shocked with this AAU news dropping today, I believe Carol Folt happens to be the chair of the AAU currently, right?
Oh, I did not know that. Let me check.
Yeah, let's double check that, because if that indeed is the case, I have a mini thought train perhaps to play out here.
Yes, you're correct. Holy smokes. Go ahead with your conspiracy.
Yeah. Okay, so I think it's a well-established fact. There's some sour feelings between USC and the Pac-12. I think it's widely thought that USC would be very against Oregon joining the Big Ten with them, and I wonder if there could have been something afoot in the background when it came to member institutions of the AAU throwing their votes in different directions. Perhaps even ASU's way to put another option on the table, and you're going to know more than I will what's happening in the background with Big Ten expansion, but perhaps to put an alternative to Oregon on the table where they could leverage Oregon in some way or flat out sidestep them and pull in a school like ASU to create a viable alternative to Oregon?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love where you're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, I was thinking about. I'm like, gosh, I think they would do anything they could to step on Oregon's head as they ascend, the college football hierarchy, if you will. And when you looked at the other options, Cal and Stanford, great institutions academically. Football doesn't move the needle. Washington, Oregon, bigger brands. ASU's in a great market, but they weren't an AAU school. So, really like ASU and Arizona were kind of the only other options that were there. And Arizona doesn't necessarily move the needle football-wise, but now you have that Phoenix, Scottsdale, Tempe market, massive school, massive alumni base, great TV market, now an AAU school, and perhaps a viable alternative to Oregon for USC to just throw a dagger through the heart of Oregon.
I love the energy and the thought you put in this conspiracy. I'm all for it. That's what part of the show is all about. I will say the one part of that that probably isn't going to work from what we've heard is that Fox wants Oregon into the Big Ten. Whether they can get that done, I don't know. So Oregon has they have a big backing from Fox Sports. I can tell you that. We've been saying that for weeks and months. But other than that, your dots connect. I like it. By the way, for everybody in the chat, don't go away. Don't go away. Got a little bit of nugget information. We're going to change. We're going to make one altercation to the PATC Theater. One altercation in the PATC Theater. I apologize to Brian because it interrupted his call, and I apologize to. I'm just going to call you Dog. Is that okay?
That works. Yeah.
Okay. I apologize to Dog for interrupting his call, but I just wanted to make sure that that we're going to get to. We're making a change. We're making a change to the PATC Theater. The one thing I would say, Dog, is if you're going to go with that conspiracy route and all this, because there is intrigue in this. What if you throw in the ingredient of, you know what? I don't even want to go there because I don't want people to start saying, Greg said this, Greg said that. Thank you, Dog, for the phone call. I appreciate it.
I wonder if there's the future in mind, right? Maybe they're going to look to 4 schools sooner rather than later, as opposed to just.
Well, they could.
Full disclosure, I'm a Duck fan, right?
Got it.
I'm always kind of checking to see what our enemies down south are doing these days. That was the other more rational thought I had was
you may have enemies, but you also have a big supporter in Fox. And I think people are going to find that out at some point here. So, all righty.
Mm-hmm. Interesting stuff. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You bet. We'll see you.
Okay, a little bit of nugget. We got the okay to say it. So we're going with it. Going in Act 12, you remember where everyone was positioned. There are new people watching this show. Larry Pilgrim, you're going to want to listen to this.
Call from
Rebecca, go Huskies.
Rebecca, thanks for calling.
Hi, Greg.
Can you hold for a second? We got a little bit of nugget, a little bit of information.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Okay, so because there's new people coming in this channel all the time, we have to set the stage Act 12, it began today or yesterday, May 31st, June 1st, take your pick. In the center of the stage is Colorado, 2 arm lengths away from Colorado is Arizona. In the front row is Oregon and Washington. In between them is the Fox executive. On the far front row is Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti. In the 15th row is Arizona State. In the 38th row is UConn. Outside was Utah, right outside the doors. And UNLV's down a block. And San Diego State has the binoculars apartment room across the street. We can say right now, PATC, you can take this however you want to take it. Utah has opened the door and they've got their head inside the door and they've taken the first step into the front foyer of the PATC Theater. Utah is suddenly more interested in getting onto that stage when it comes to the Big 12 potential poaching of the Pac-12. We're saying it right now. What is it? June 1st, 5:21 Central Time from information. And then we got the okay to say it. Utah is now open that door, the front foyer. They're not in the auditorium yet. And they've put their head in. They've taken the first couple steps into the foyer. Keep an eye on that. I'm telling you, keep an eye on that. You can take it however you want to take it. For the first time, we have Utah actually in the building. Somewhere in the building here at Peek Around the Corner. June 1st, Act 12 began. We have some movement. We definitely have some movement. June 6th, Colorado Board of Regents. Special board's been called. Utah now has stepped into the front foyer. Rebecca, I lost you. Where are you? I was just going to you. Rebecca, call again, please. Rebecca, call again. I'm sorry. I had to go into this information. Utah needs to get escorted out by security. That's not going to happen. Utah feeling the heat. BYU opening the door for them. Will the thrill? Whoa. Call again, Rebecca. I don't know if you accidentally hung up. I did not touch anything. Secret agent. Utah is realizing what they have to do. Now, this info comes. We feel pretty good about this information. So again, June 1st, a lot of action going on. A lot of action going on the first day or the second day of Act 12. No, this is about the Big 12. Utah and the Big 12. They've entered into the front foyer of the building. Reality setting in for the Utes. Possibly. It looks like Utah willing to cooperate. Now, we just got this information. Let me check here. We got this information, an hour after the Colorado Board of Regents meeting on June 6th? The special session. Yeah. I'm going to say this. People are a little bit hung up on the fact that this is not a public meeting. It takes a nanosecond for them to be able to go to a public meeting. Hopefully the phone lines are working here. We may be having an issue with the phone lines. Again, 763-260-1333. A lot of information is coming in. lot of information is coming in. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Call from
Tim.
Tim, the floor is yours. I'm glad the phones are working. I hope they're working because we lost Rebecca somehow. But go ahead, Tim. The floor is yours.
Thanks
Woo!
for taking my call. I had 2 points I wanted to make. The first one, I noticed a lot of people mentioned, I know they're on the fringe, but Gonzaga, that they, potentially basketball only. But the NCAA does not allow a basketball only edition. You have to have, I think, at least 3 sports, including basketball. So if they were to come in, they would be an all sports member. That's the first point. The second thing, let's assume, and I think most people are assuming at this point, Colorado joins the Big 12. If Arizona goes, if they go as well, and Arizona State follows, it looks like, especially the way you're playing it out, it's between UConn and Utah. What role would BYU have in potentially blocking Utah?
Okay, while BYU fans some of them are probably going to yell at me here. I don't think BYU would stop Utah at all. I think that's money. I think BYU would want that to happen. I think BYU has tried to make that happen. Honestly, from what we've heard, we think BYU is pro Utah. Now the fans, of course, the fans are going to go at it, right? BYU wants Utah to be a member of the Mountain West. But I think internally, institutionally, money at the state of Utah, the sponsorships, the businesses, the ticket sales, going to each other's stadiums, the TV revenue, the big rivalries, getting massive exposure when it comes to the Holy War. I think BYU wants Utah into the Big 12. But let me know how crazy I am.
No, that's legit. The other thing I was wondering, so let's say again Colorado joins the Big 12. It sounds like, and I could be wrong, that the prevailing thought is that Utah and Arizona State are still kind of leaning Pac-12, and Arizona's 50-50. What are the odds you think Arizona makes the move if Colorado makes the move?
I think it's very, very high. We got them 2 arm lengths away from Colorado, so we would have that pretty high. And Arizona State has made a late move. They were out of the building, then suddenly they came to the 15th row, and now Utah has walked a couple steps in to the front foyer. So there's movement. That's what we believe. That's what we're being told to peek around the corner. And I think we've been on this from the get-go pretty good. So that's what we believe. This information, the Utah info, I think it's really, really good info. Let's put it that way.
And the last thing on Gonzaga again, under what scenario do you think that they would have a chance to join?
Who?
Gonzaga.
Well,
because I don't think if they go to 16, they're going to have Gonzaga. So
yeah, I mean, obviously this is a domino, right? And your mark is going for the four corner schools, right? So let's say he gets all the 4 corner schools. Then he's at 16. And Oregon and Washington can wait. They can wait because they would be, if things didn't work out with the Big Ten, they could be the 17th and 18th school. ESPN and Fox would take them. Big 12 would take them in a nanosecond. Oregon and Washington have they're not sweating this thing right now. So Gonzaga would have to have your mark still have the incentive to want to go to 17 and 8. I'm just saying here. I'm speculating. Let's say Yormark gets all 4 corner schools, and Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten, whatever. Gonzaga would need Yormark still to have the incentive to go to a 17th and 18th. Let's say Gonzaga and UConn. I mean, there's still a chance. Of course, there's things. We're getting in. We're in Act 12, baby. This thing is hot. Things are fluid. There's definite movement since Act 12 has begun. No question about it. But we don't have Gonzaga in the building right now. It sounds like most people disagree with us. If you read the reports, we just don't have them in the building right now. We do have UConn in the 38th row.
Tied into the the Pac-12 schools potentially leaving. I think at least Colorado's going to leave. But let's just say somehow, some way, the Pac-12 stays together. Do you think that the Big 12 stays at 12, or do they go grab Group of 5 schools?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that again?
I'm saying more than likely, I think Colorado and at least a couple other schools may leave the Pac-12. But if nobody leaves, they get a TV deal that works.
Got it.
I don't see how, but if they do, is the Big 12 going to add any Group of 5 teams, or are they just going to stay at 12? You think?
They may. I mean, they might. They might. You know, it'd be limited. Maybe 2 of them. It could happen. It could happen. That's all I'm going to say on that. It could happen. I wouldn't rule it out. And I think UConn would be in the catbird seat, and possibly Gonzaga, and possibly UNLV.
Memphis.
Maybe.
You think Memphis or UNLV is in a better situation?
Well, we think UNLV is, but
fluid.
Yeah. Well, we haven't had discussions on that because we think Big 12 will be successful in poaching a Pac-12 school since February 24th, and we got all this intel on Colorado and all these such events that have happened in May that are just that you know. Once you all see what was going on, when you see the details, yeah, I mean, Colorado has been lining this thing up, giving the Pac-12 all the chances in the world, and Pac-12 just can't pull the rabbit out of the hat. That's the issue. That is the straw that is stirring the drink. Pac-12 can't get a decent media deal. And so Colorado and others are looking out for themselves now. So
I'll leave it on this note. Let's say Colorado does go. How long does Arizona have to make a decision before the Big 12 has to go and grab somebody else?
I don't think it's going to be an issue. You know, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I don't think. I mean, it's going to be less. I mean, it's going to be more than a day. I mean, your mark. I don't think it's an issue. I just don't. Arizona knows. They know what's up. So.
Well, thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Great call. February 24th is my daughter's birthday. Yeah, that's the first day. That's when we said the odds, the odd flip from February 24th. We said here at Peek Around the Corner in our PATC Sportsbook that the odds were finally favoring the Big 12 to poach the Pac-12. And the reason we said it on February 24th is because we found out the lowballing, just the terrible offers that the Pac-12 was getting. The networks were saying no. Basically, the networks were saying no. We do not want a one-region conference out on the Pacific Coast.
Call from
Rebecca. Go Huskies.
Rebecca, thanks for calling again. The floor is yours.
Yeah, sorry about that, Greg. Work never ends.
No problem. No problem.
No, I mean, like, two things. I think, you know, the AAU timing, I don't think there's anything behind that. Nothing nefarious. I mean, like, had there been a vote a week ago and the ACC had suddenly decided to disband, this would be weird timing. But, you know, it's near the end of the school year. You know, they presented themselves, they filed their membership, and the chairs went ahead and brought everything to a vote. So, I mean, I'd be more curious which schools didn't get in
good
than
point.
I am really that got it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, 2019, I had to Google it. I was like, 2019, UC Santa Cruz got in. So,
Yeah, But they don't usually add 6 schools. I mean, it's just it's very interesting.
It's a lot of schools, but I mean, like, they're all great schools. And then I had to go look up the criteria, and I'm like, I can see all 6 schools with most of that criteria. Especially, like, I know people are like sleepy. People, I think, sleep a little on South Florida. That is actually a quality school.
Yeah.
They do a good amount of research, which is
yes, and they've been doing it forever. I mean, it's not like a new thing for them. They're a much bigger research university than Central Florida, for example. Different universities.
Yeah.
So
different universities.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, but just looking at the criteria, Notre Dame, they don't do a ton of research, but faculty awards, faculty in national academics, citations. Yeah, Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame's going to get there. Like, you just go through, they at least have 3 of the 4 criteria without a problem. So, like somebody said, USC's president is the chair, but it doesn't take much. Like, USC has a great working relationship with Washington on a lot of things, the athletic department, and the in the academic side. For people who don't know, apparently Washington's athletic director has circulated as a possible candidate down there in Los Angeles. That is a thing that's popped up out here a lot. But it was on, like, the radio and stuff last week and this week. But anyway, that's what I think. But, like, as far as, like, members go and stuff like that, it's like Oregon and Washington they're pretty much set. Nobody's going anywhere until the media deal is presented, but everybody has to have a contingency plan in place. It's not a shock to me that Oregon and Utah or Arizona State are muddying the waters and doing what's best for them. They should do that, but I think, like I've always said that the strongest views are the ones that are the most silent. You've not heard from Washington, Oregon, Stanford, and Cal, but we've heard from all the other schools, and every other school is rumored for something outside of those 4. The 2 bigger schools, obviously Washington and Oregon, they're going to be fine. They'll settle somewhere. They're not going to be on the outside too long. And then you have Stanford and Cal, who people would assume don't care for athletics, but have heavily invested in athletics. And you can look at Cal as they start to look to break grounds. I think, like, they've invested in football stadium improvements. They're investing in a basketball program now.
True.
It's a matter of time. They kind of get things going again. Those 2 schools really do care about athletics. Like, Stanford's biggest thing is we have more national titles combined than anybody else. That is a thing. They're very proud of that. So to say they don't care about athletics couldn't be further from the truth.
You still think, Rebecca, you still believe that a Colorado and Arizona will not go to the Big 12, decide to go to the Big 12 until they see the Pac-12 media deal first?
I think that that's the case. However, I also think the media deal for the Pac-12, has to be, at this point, for them to leave without seeing that deal, the money would have to be absurd. Like, a couple $1 million is not going to move the needle. So, like, we're talking $31 million to $25 million. That's not going to move the needle for them. That's not a big deal. It has to be substantial. Like, it would have to be $20 million to $30 million kind of a deal for them to even, like, go, nope, we're done, we're out. But I don't see them going anywhere until they know what it is. But I could see the 12 approaching them and going, this is what you're going to get now. And then they could go back to, they could actually then take those numbers and go back to the Pac-12 and basically demand what the number is, and Cliff Cox has to present them that number. And if it's not anywhere close, then they're gonna bounce. But it just has to be substantial. It has to be something.
I think Colorado has had so many discussions, as Juan Carlos said here, At this point, I don't think Colorado would be talking to the Big 12 if there was a chance it was going to be close. Like, I agree. I think Colorado and possibly others, and I think it's going to end up being true. I don't think they believe there is a Pac-12 deal.
Yeah, I said this a few months ago, Greg.
Yeah.
Washington is required. They are requiring more money in the next contract. They cannot be less. Washington cannot go under $24 million, which is what the last year of the Pac-12 media deal is.
Yeah.
Which when it was signed in 2012 was amazing, which we look at it now, we're like, oh, that's kind of minuscule, but at the time it was a really great deal. It was the best deal. And then the Big 12 got theirs, which was higher. But it has to be above $24 million for Washington. If it's not, Washington will not sign that deal. And Washington would then have to figure out what they're going to do. But with the Washington president essentially leading the CEO group for the Pac-12, she knows this number. So she can push these buttons a little bit. And I would assume that there's a few other schools that might be in the same boat that have to have a larger number than present. And I'll say it, like Cal is in that boat probably because Cal, they upgraded their stadium. They did some remodels.
I would tell you this. Colorado is in the same exact boat. And and I don't know if I should say this or not. Their state football stadium, the way they finance their financing, it'll probably come out sooner here rather than later. Colorado cannot afford to make less than what they're making right now. And do they have any confidence they're going to get a deal for the Pac-12 that's going to make more than they do now? No, they have no confidence. And this is why all this is happening. And that's why we're in Act 12.
Yeah, that's why
I don't think they need to see the deal anymore. That's my point. Because there is no deal coming.
No, but they're going to use the deal to justify the rating, and they have to because, like, Colorado can't just up and leave on a vote. It has to be a public. They have to public has to have a say first.
Well,
this is different than other schools.
California, Washington. I would say this. I said this a few times in this live show and a few times in the last live show. If our information is correct, the Board of Regents it's come down to basically a procedural type of thing. It's not the vote is going to be so lickety split quick. They can call for a public. They can go remote. They can walk in. Bam, vote, 2 minutes out. They don't need open mic to do this. It's nothing like that.
No, but I'm saying like they can't even decide really until that vote because then it could be considered you already made the decision, you voted on it and already said yes. All they can do is put a vote to bring it to the public vote and that's it. And then they have to do their thing there. But the other thing is during your show, California House passed the bill that basically makes athletes that basically says athletes are employees of the universities. It passed the House 45-16.
I saw that. Yep. Thanks.
And it's like, so Cal and Stanford are now on a boat that they don't want to be in because they're going to have to pay these athletes. Like they're going to have no choice.
But it only went through one chamber, right? It has to go to the next, right?
It has to go to the California Senate, but the governor is expected to sign it if it passes the Senate. So Newsom's going to sign it, and then the Senate is, the Senate. They said it barely got through the House, but it was a 45-16 vote. I don't.
I read the same thing. I was like, that barely got by?
Like, multiple people said that, and I was like, it's 45-16, guys. How does
I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but I can count votes. It doesn't seem to be a close vote, but...
Yeah. Multiple outlets are saying it was close, and I was like, I don't know where you're getting that. But
Rebecca,
saying,
Rebecca, it's not like we don't have enough drama in college football right now. Let's just throw in another hand grenade of the state coming in, California state saying, basically laying down the laws of the state that schools are now have to pay the student athletes as employees and all that.
And let me just say, if it goes through and passes, I don't see the state of Alabama sitting back, especially Nick Saban standing there and going, no, like they can get whoever they want now because they're going to pay them, plus they're going to get their NIL, and they're going to get, like, every state will eventually be like, especially football, they're going to be like, nope.
Yeah, but I still don't. Now, we're peek around the corner. We've been saying this is episode number 1, our manifesto, that this was going to happen. But I don't think the state should mandate a certain percentage and all that stuff, like the California bill has it. There's a better way to do this. Way better way to do this, but
I'm just looking at it. Somebody lives on the West Coast. Oregon and Washington will tend to follow suit with what California does, and vice versa. The laws tend to be the same because all the governors think the same, and the Senate and the House are pretty much the same in their thought processes. But when it comes to like Oregon and Washington, I know the ASU thing. Media market is driving this. If it was just eyeballs, purely eyeballs, we would be talking about USC and Oregon going to the Big Ten, not UCLA. UCLA just happens to be in Los Angeles, but they're not the most viewed school in the Pac-12. They'd be sandwiched right around right in where Washington and that are. Last year they got a few more viewers, but because they got a big boost from playing that big USC game. But if you look at it, they got to sell subscriptions. That's why the Washington-Michigan State game is purely on Peacock.
Yeah, I was going to get to this. Grateful Trojan says NBC basically showed how little value Washington by putting the Huskies on Spartans. That's not how these. Okay, so the Big Ten. People get so wound up on this. When the Big Ten makes these media deals with their media partners, they have to put enough decent big size games on these networks so they get paid $350 million. So of course, out of the 8-9 Peacock games right now, well, I better not, how do I say this? There's supposed to be 8 Peacock games, but right now they have 9 slated. I really can't get into that. Maybe one of them gets moved. But Washington, they have to have some big games on the Peacock. You got to do it. Yeah. And you have to have some, it's so Grateful Trojan, I love you, but
yeah, no, it is. I'll just say it out loud. Do you really, does Grateful Trojan really think Syracuse and Purdue will pull a bigger number than Washington and Michigan State? Oh.
I don't know. Michigan State might be really bad this year, so you have that kind of.
Be really bad. I do think that people think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
But there's history if people paid attention. Yeah, Big Ten to Pac-12, they'd be terrible. Pac-12 to Big Ten, not as great either. So it's the balance. As a Husky fan, I was like, just don't be 9 a.m. Don't be a 9 a.m. Pacific start because that would just be horrifically hard for us. But no, also coincidentally, it's a huge game with the Seahawks that weekend. The very next day, the Seahawks are in Detroit, so get ready. There might be a ton more Husky fans than normal in Michigan that weekend. But no, it's purely to sell subscriptions. That's why Fox grabbed USC and UCLA. They want the subscriptions. That's why, was it Feinbaum brought up the fact that the SEC is probably not interested in Clemson and Florida State at all. They may want Miami because the SEC is going to want subscriptions, and ESPN's getting ready to go to an almost full streaming service to sell subscriptions for. Where do you want to put it? You're going to put it in the bigger markets. ESPN's going to want to make sure they have some big markets. So you might see ASU and Arizona get in there because it's the 11th largest market in Phoenix. Seattle's the 12th largest market. You're going to see, I can't stress enough that subscriptions are what's driving this because they're already looking at the future and they already know where they're going with it.
Yeah, they're going to want to eat North Carolina and Virginia as well, the SEC.
Peacock Peacock is the absolute experiment, and I guarantee you TV execs are going to watch those numbers on Peacock this year exclusively to see what's going on. That's why I'm like...
Yes, absolutely.
That's all I want to say, Greg.
Got it. Thank you. Great call. Great call.
Yeah. Bye, Greg.
And that's the thing, there's 8 Peacock games, only 8 streaming only Peacock games. And people are all kind of like, oh boy, everyone's got to watch the numbers, see what kind of numbers they pull. And that is why it's so risky for the Pac-12 to go mostly streaming or have their top games streaming.
Call from
Eric.
Thank you, Eric. The floor is yours.
Hey, how's it going, sir?
It's been a big day today. Big day today. AAU, 6 new AAU schools. We've got June 6th special board meeting was just done during the show from Colorado Board of Regents. We've got Utah walking into the front foyer of the PATC Theater. A lot of stuff going on, sir.
Absolutely. One thing I would caution some of my friends down in Arizona and even USF, some of them are basically saying this is proof they're on their way to the Big Ten. It doesn't mean that at all.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But it's a big deal, though. It is.
It's good for them academically, but even academically, it just shows one aspect of your university is really strong, like your research aspect of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you're a powerhouse university academically overall, like some of those are, like University of Miami.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I don't mean to offend my ASU friends, but it's still a very average school academically overall, but they're very good in research. But, I mean, if you look at their overall academic numbers, there's quite a few schools in the Big 12 that are better than ASU. Arizona's a better academic school than ASU is, in my opinion, overall. But, I mean, so sometimes I think they make a little bit too much of the AAU status thing. It has more to do that you're a research university, but there's more to education than just research, and it doesn't mean you're off to the Big Ten tomorrow.
Yeah.
I had a few questions for you and a comment. I love that last caller. She's one of your best callers that ever called.
Yeah.
But I have to disagree with her a little bit. I think Colorado may not know the final exact details of the deal, but they have a darn good idea what direction the deal's heading in.
Yeah.
And they have a general idea what the numbers are going to be if they even get a deal.
Yeah.
And even if it's within a few million, say 5 million, people forget they're not just looking at the money, they're also looking at access.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you go into a recruit's home and the parent lives across the country, they want to know they can see the games on television. They want to know their kid's going to be on television. And if it's a deal where there's only 2 linear games, only 2 non-streaming games or 3 non-streaming games a week, and most weeks that's going to be Oregon, Washington, and maybe Utah, and you're mostly relegated to Apple or to ESPN Plus or something, they're probably not signing that deal. That's my opinion. A question I have for you, and if you've answered these already, Greg, I apologize. 3 quick questions. 1, when should we get some finality on the Colorado-Arizona State situation? B, when do you think we'll start hearing stuff leak out? Usually before these things actually happen, you hear some of the big name national media guys break the story here and there, and the dam breaks a little bit.
Okay.
When do you think those 2 things are going to happen?
Well, number one, that has already happened. They're leaking it. They're talking about Colorado now being the one that has the most talks, deep talks. Dennis Dodd, Max Olson. They're starting to do all that, right? And they started doing it, May 31st, May 30th. But the story is not going to break wide open until Colorado officially asks for an application to enter into the Big 12. Once that happens, then this thing gets broken wide open. That's when it happens.
Frame
what was that?
Think that will happen.
When do I think that will happen? Sooner rather than later. Now,
and I agree.
Hold on a second. I got a comment here. Greg, most of us thought Act 12 would include movement when it started. When do you anticipate Act 13 starting? Man, I'm going to tell you guys something. And here's another one. Well, Flugar, you said things are going off yesterday or today, and nothing has happened. But thank you, Chris S., for coming on in. And we said Act 12 is starting today or May 31st. We didn't say it was ending on the same day it was starting.
That's right.
What is going on here? I've gotten so many comments. It is going. Look, I mean, Big 12. They're talking about expansion in their meeting today. June 6th, special board meetings was just scheduled today by the Colorado Board of Regents. June 6th, Tuesday. Now, you might not believe this, but you can take this information however you want it. But we broke intel today that Utah's just stepped into the foyer. Again, that's not evidence. I understand that. May 7th is not evidence because no one has told you guys the story. We can't tell it. May 24th, I guess that's not evidence. May 31st is not evidence. Something big happened yesterday. We can't tell the story. There is a lot of movement going on right now. Are you asking, are people saying because there hasn't been an announcement that Colorado is leaving for the Big 12 today? So far, it hasn't happened yet today. There's action going on. I mean, things have been getting lined up for weeks now. When is the exact moment the application is asked? I do not know. I'm not the Chancellor of Colorado. I can tell you, though, that the landscape, things have been done all the way leading up until now that's headed in towards that direction. Even more stuff has happened today. Big things happened yesterday that you're going to learn about. So the timeline hasn't passed. Well, I don't know. People, look, I don't know who said that Act 12 ends on June 1st. It starts today or yesterday, if you want to take yesterday. It started. Act 11 lasted a couple weeks. We said that. Then a couple weeks ago, we said Act 12 would start June 1st or May 31st. And I'm telling you, things have gone exactly the way we and others expected because we're tracking it. And I don't know. I'm kind of just... I
agree with you 100%.
I don't know. I mean, the hot bubble of action, again, I can't talk about it. It happened May 7th in a city in the Midwest. And when it comes out, it will, I don't know. I'm going to make this clear for everybody in the back who can hear this. Act 12 is not ending today. It's not ending today. And I don't know when it's going to end. Let this play out. A lot of things are afoot right now. I'm sorry to interrupt your call, sir. Go ahead. The floor is yours again.
Just call me Eric, Greg. I feel like we're football brothers. Like we know, if we saw each other, we would know each other. So just call me Eric.
Yeah.
but I agree with you 100%. Kind of like when you were speaking with the other lady. The application is the formality. It's like every really good job I got, I knew I had the job before I turned in the application usually.
Yeah, okay. And hold it right there. That's true. Okay, that is true. The application, when it happens, is a formality. Okay? And School A, let's just say Colorado, been talking with the Big 12. They know everything all lined up. It's a formality. But I want to make it clear. This story doesn't bust wide open until that formality happens. That's the point.
I agree with you.
That's the point I'm trying to tell you all. People are saying, Greg, why does it happen? The formality of asking for the application has not happened yet. And when that happens,
exactly,
that's when it breaks open. And June 1st, we didn't say Now, it could happen. It could have happened June 1st. It could happen later. It could happen tomorrow. We didn't say Act 12 application, Act 12 ends. That's not what we got a lot. Hey,
exactly.
If Colorado said right now, a minute from now, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time, and said, I want an application Big 12 and the story breaks, we still have a lot of Act 12 left to go. So put the brakes on, everybody. Act 12 isn't over. It has only just begun. Go ahead, Bill, with the call. Thanks.
I agree 100%. That's exactly what I was actually trying to say, is I'm totally in agreement with you. Like, all these meetings, all these things that are taking on behind the scene, kind of like when you were talking with your the other caller, Colorado's so far along the way, and she was saying, you know, well, there needs to be a public vote and a public meeting. And like you were pointing out, John, I'm totally in agreement with you. There's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
All the really important stuff is going on right now behind the scenes.
Yes.
The public vote is the formality. Like you said, they can do that in 5 minutes. The decision, by the time they get to the public vote, the bread's been in the oven, it's been baked, it's been laid on the table, they're going to eat it for dinner. Now they're just voting on it. So you're 100% right. The vote's just the final act and the application, but it's an important, like you say, a process. That's when everyone's going to actually know. But all the really important stuff, like you say, guys, stuff is happening. You know, all the meetings that Yormac's having with the people, all the meetings that people underneath them are having with each other, all the stuff that's being negotiated now, this is all the hard work. All the important stuff is happening right now. The application and the public meeting, that's just icing the cake and presenting the cake, and then we'll all know here's the cake with the birthday candles. But the baking of the cake is going on right now. And I think that, you can see it today. Another one, the Oklahoma AD said he was in meetings about expansion today.
Yeah, I'm going to put that up. I'm going to put that up. It's on the screen right now. Thanks for reminding me. I put it up earlier in the show. Oklahoma athletic director hustling into SEC spring meetings with SEC presidents and chancellors. I'm meeting by Zoom with Big 12 people who are in Greenboro, decided on further Big 12 expansion, etc. Now, okay, you can argue back and forth. Is Joe really in the meeting, remote meeting, Zoom meeting with the Big 12 when they're talking about the expansion candidate? Probably not. But either way, it doesn't really matter. The fact of he would know that the next thing they're going to talk about is expansion as he runs out of the room to join his other future SEC athletic director partners. Yes, they talked about it today. Expansion, June 1st. I don't know what else to say. Yes, there's been movement. There's been action today. Yes. Thanks for reminding me of that.
And then just two final things I want everybody to remember is, A, it's not just about the money. The money, of course, is very important. But if the money's close at all, it's also very, very much about exposure, because exposure affects your long-term money. Exposure affects, like you always say, Greg, the front porch of your university.
Yeah.
Exposure is a huge part of it. You know, BYU might have been able to make more money going to a conference, but they wanted exposure. That was 70% of why they did what they did for the last 10 years. Exposure is really important to universities. So if Colorado can get a little bit more money, but get a lot more exposure, that's also a very important reason for you to do it. And this, the final thing I would say is, along with you, all the hard work, the baking of the cake is being done right now. And when they actually present it for a vote, that's the kind of formality. They present the cake with the candle and blow the candles out. That's when we'll know about it. But by that time, the cake's already been baked. So anyway, I appreciate your show. You have a great show. Tell the little general we said hi. And now, is there a drop dead date, like where they have to kind of have this done by if they want to get out without penalties, that kind of thing, like June 30th, July 1st? I hear for some reason June 30th and July 1st a lot.
You talking about a Pac-12 school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We talked about that before. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. And
I know there is for San Diego State, but I don't know about the Pac.
I don't know, and I don't think it's going to be an issue. If we get later in the month, and I don't think we will, we'll dive into that some more. But it's a great question. I don't have the answer.
Thank you, Greg. And you and the little general have a blessed day. And maybe someday we'll make it to a Gophers game. We'll actually get to say hi or something.
Got it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You have a blessed day.
Great call.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Mr. Monkey says, Greg said Colorado will make a sticker go decision in Act 12, which begins 5/31. Speculating go. Yeah, we think it's a go. Yeah, but the act isn't going to close right when it opens. I think people are getting sort of, don't rush the play. Don't rush the play. And don't walk out unless you have to go get your popcorn. Then come back in. Don't rush the play. Act 12 is going to go on for a while.
Call from
Tristan Fives.
Tristan, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling.
Hey, thanks, Greg. Listen, this was shocking news today about the AAU.
Yeah.
I cannot help but think that the term you used, I think, is appropriate. There's some kind of horse trading going on there.
Yeah.
So the school that popped out to me on all the list of the new AAU universities, South Florida looks rather interesting to me.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, and I'm sure most of your listeners are aware of this, since going back about 45 years, the region of Georgia and Florida have really dominated college football. If you look at the number of universities that have won a football title in either Florida or Georgia, or a state that is connected to Florida or Georgia, the grand total is 29. There's 29 titles that have been won in the last 45 years by schools that are connected to that region of the country. And so to me, I think everyone knows this, and I think that elevates potentially the candidacy of South Florida into one of the major conferences. They're located in Tampa, very close to Tampa, and that's, as we all know, is one of the growing markets in Florida. I just can't help but wonder, with AAU status, if they would draw interest potentially from the Big Ten and possibly also from the SEC.
Well, if it did happen, it would be years and years from now. They have a lot of work to do in regards to the front porch, the athletic department, investing in revenue-making programs. Fan base has got to turn out. All those issues that they've been having. They have been a great research university forever. Years down the line, maybe, possibly.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just wanted to
throw
that out there, because I don't know if like I said, I'm sure a lot of your listeners know, but I wasn't sure that everyone was really aware of just how dominant the Florida and Georgia region have been.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And the Tampa market is in the Orlando market from UCF. Fox Sports, they wanted UCF into the new Big 12, into the expanded Big 12 with Texas, and they pushed that just like ESPN pushed Cincinnati. So would there be more of an appetite years down the road? Let's say if Miami or Florida went into the Big 10, Florida State, let's say, go to the SEC, would there be more of an appetite for the Big 10 to look at another part of Florida, 12, 15 years from now? Hard to say. But I tell you what, it was a big day for USF. No question about it. Big day.
Yeah, I went to their website, and they had splattered on the homepage, AAU. It's right there in big font, right in the middle of the page.
I don't blame them.
No, I don't. It's a great accomplishment. And then I did want to ask you one other thing. So you made mention of Georgia Tech earlier, and you said that some things would have to go their way. Could you elaborate a little bit on that? What's some of the hurdles that they have?
Well, if you notice, the Big Ten, I don't talk Georgia Tech much here in regards to possible Big Ten candidate. The Big Ten, when they go into an area, they like that. They need to have the number one brand of that area, right?
Right.
And possibly the number two if they have the number one brand. Michigan, Michigan State, so forth and so on. Georgia Tech is far, far, far away from Georgia. Yes, Georgia Tech's in a great location. Yes, Georgia Tech's great academic. Yes, Georgia Tech great research institution. Obviously, Georgia Tech.
Right.
But, if the Big Ten is successful at getting a Miami of Florida and then some other school, some other school, I don't know, maybe Florida State, maybe a Virginia, maybe a Virginia Tech, maybe a North Carolina, the need for Georgia Tech goes, I think things would have to fall just perfectly for Georgia Tech to be a future candidate for the Big Ten. I know a lot of people in the chat disagree with me, but just the way Big Ten looks at markets and stuff, Georgia Tech is such a number two, and they're so far away from Georgia that number 1 and 2, the gap is so huge. You don't see the Big Ten doing that, So that's why I'm kind of cold on Georgia Tech being a potential.
So basically their brand has just fallen off so much in the last probably 5 to 10 years is the problem, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if they'll want to invest. I've got them pretty low on the ACC potential candidate list for the Big Ten. A lot of smart people disagree with me, though, so.
Yeah, they would need to make a commitment to their athletics to really. And the other thing is the academics are stellar, but they don't really have a huge student body. And that's one of the big selling points of the Big Ten is that you have a lot of really big universities and you have a lot of alumni.
Yeah.
And same, by the way, goes for the SEC. I mean, both conferences really love big state universities that have a lot of students. And Georgia Tech is academically elite, but they have a somewhat small student body.
Yeah.
So that's kind of working against them a little bit too.
Got it.
All right. Well, thanks, Greg. Keep up the good work, and I'll catch up with you later.
Appreciate it. Great call.
All right,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. John, a caller had the idea of USC blocking Oregon by helping ASU. Could you picture the SEC taking Oregon? Excuse me, hold on. Then Oregon, Washington State taking along for the ride. No, I don't see Washington State or Oregon State asked to take along for a ride. I don't know. Washington State, Oregon State, they're in a tough spot. Not sure what's going to happen there. I do not think they're SEC or Big Ten bound. We're going to close it up for today, for right now. Could we pop up later on tonight? That's a possibility. Sometime after 9 o'clock Central, that's a possibility. But we got to close it up right now. I've got a lot of things to do. I got a lot of phone calls to make. Things are... Yes, there is a lot of action going on right now as we are in day 1 of Act 12. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. You get notified of when we come up on next. And you got to keep your head on a swivel because we could come up at any time. Anytime. We are in the midst of some big drama. 6 new AAU schools. Big 12 trying to poach at least one of the Four Corner schools. If they get one, they'll probably get two, they'll probably get three. And late intel this afternoon, Utah has stepped into the front foyer of the PATC Theater. So hang with us here. Hang with us. Before you leave, smash that like button. It helps us with the algorithm so very much. Thank you for the donations. We are an independent rebel outpost of all college football YouTube channels. We're independent. We thank you so much for helping us keep the lights on. Keep your head on a swivel. It's June 1st, action. June 6th, special board meeting. Colorado, holy smokes, that happened while we were doing our live show. Lots of things going on. I want to thank the PATC community for keeping your head on a swivel, for giving us this breaking news as we do our live shows. You're going to have to continue to do this. You're going to have to continue to keep your head on a swivel and provide us information as we do this live show. I will do the very best I can to continue to help you all peek around the corner in college football. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.